Lekker, wait. Put this here.
Jeez, but you do have all the right
Everything.
marks. You got the kit, brother.
All
This is,
kid, my friend. You
This
get.
is.
So now I must do podcasts. Otherwise, my wife asks me, wat ga je nou maak, meneer?
You keep coming home with new equipment. What the hell?
I'm married. What else do I have? Where else would I get my thrills from? Let me just check. Hey, you alright? Yeah, you're in the frame. Min of meer. Mr. Darren Simpson.
Yes, Mr. Alfred Adriaan.
Whackhead. Listen, people don't know this, but me and Darren are actually old friends.
We are.
Comedy is a weird thing. It brings us all together, and we have friends that I don't think people put me and you next to each other. But
No.
I used to work your comedy club.
Yeah, I used to work my comedy club all the time. You were
All the
like,
time.
you were one of my bankers. You were like, hey, the lineup's a bit thin tonight. We need to get Alfred on. And you were always there, bro. You
Of
always wanted to
course.
work. And the pay was cuck.
Oh,
The pay was cut, but we did it for stage time.
we did it for stage time. It was a lekker gig. People also don't understand. Comedians will do something just because the gig is lekker.
Yeah, if the room's hot, we don't worry about the
I
money.
think it was in Brakpan. Those are my favorite people.
Hey?
Brakpan. My
Hey.
first gig was in Brakpan. Ever. Joe Parker put me on in that.
Super Sport Bar. That's right. My first gig, now this is an interesting story. My first gig, why I've got such a tight bond with Joey Rusdy, because we performed our very first show on the same night. We were at, it was John Vlismus's gig,
Yeah.
Comedy Underground.
Cool runnings.
Cool Runnings.
Yes.
Yeah. And we both were standing there before going, all right.
So you and Joey
your
same
first time."
night?
Same night we started together, yeah.
And then you're sitting there nervous. How did it go?
Ah, you know what that feeling is like. It's
Dude.
you stand there backstage, you go, what am I doing? Why am I here? Why am I putting myself in this situation? And you know, the first joke of mine, without understanding how the whole thing works, but my first joke got an applause.
And
And then because you remember you had to do 5 minutes.
yes.
The first joke got an applause. The rest died on my ass, eh? Died on my ass. Horrible death.
And that was a tough room, eh?
It was very tough. Smart room though.
Youngsters.
Yeah. And but that feeling of that first laugh, eh?
Nothing.
I
You
was
know
like-
you're not coming back. Once you do that, it's an addiction. You keep coming.
I tell you, and then that was it. And then that set me on my way. Eh?
The weird thing is that room. Remember that little curtain and there was a bathroom. I only played it a little because I came much later than you. But you had Trevor Noah came out of that room. That was
Yeah.
his first gig.
Yeah.
That was your first gig. That
Yeah.
was Joey's first gig. That
Yeah.
was Paul Pops' first gig.
Yeah.
That was the Goliath's first gig.
Yeah.
Lots of people came through that.
Yeah, and it was a development room. It was amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't think people give John Vlismus the credit he deserves.
No.
Because in my career, he was pivotal.
boss.
He's the guy that would go, no, come with me, open with me.
Yeah.
He would be very chill, like let doors open.
And you're right. He doesn't get enough credit, and it's funny now that comedy is the furthest thing that he wants to do. You know.
Doesn't want to do it.
No, but I can see why though,
Yeah.
because I mean it's winding yourself up before a gig. It can be very taxing. And what's the next joke? What's the next joke? You know, the thing is like when I look back, I go, why didn't I rather become a musician? You know,
Yeah.
a musician can go up there.
Yeah.
I'm going to play the same 10 songs that you love to sing along to every night. I can do this for 10 years.
I can do it with a flu.
Yeah.
Same result.
You know, as a stand-up, you go there, you tell a joke. The next night, you go tell the same joke on the same stage. The same person is there. Look at this guy. He's washed up. He's got no new material. He's done. He's burnt.
That's
you know what I'm
it.
saying? It's brutal. And the work rate and the workload, it never ends.
A touring comic. I'm one of them. A touring comic works.
Yeah.
If you're not working, that's why I always say Nick Rabinowitz, Mark Lottering, Skumba, these guys, they look so chilled.
Yeah.
Those oaks are not, but it's work there, bro.
Yeah.
It's nights, and also all of them families.
And you know, and they say your first hour special is going to be your best hour
Yeah.
because you've taken 10 years to develop that.
Yes.
And your next special, you've got 1 year to develop
Yes.
it.
Yes.
So it's more and more
It's
difficult. And I
tough.
see all these posters here, man. I'm exceptionally proud of you, bro. You know
Thank
what?
you.
Look at this. These are all your one-man shows, eh? All
Yes.
different hours of material.
Totally.
You have acquired
Scary
4
amounts.
hours of material is incredible. I mean, look how young you are there.
Yeah, there's one or two not even on here. You know how it is in the beginning. You're just scuttling. That's when I struggled to sell 40 tickets in PE.
Yeah.
It's my hometown.
Well, you know, Trevor Noah, it's always a hometown.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a story. So Trevor Noah was telling me the story where, you remember when...
Hello guys, very exciting news. This is my very first sponsored podcast or sponsored clip. And yeah, let's see how that goes. But just remember, you can also sponsor the podcast. You can also sponsor clips in the podcast. Just email us at info@alfredadriaan.com. Now let me do this like they do it like the professionals. Here we go. Hello everybody. This clip is brought to you by Tactical. It used to take me days to record a podcast and now it takes me hours thanks to Tactical. They came in, they looked at my process from the beginning to the end and they helped me and they saved me so much money because I didn't have to bring in extra staff to do this. And they saved me so much time so I could do it all on my own within hours, not days anymore. And that's really what it's all about, especially for businesses that want to get more cost efficient. So that's not all they do. They also build custom software for businesses and help companies harness the power of AI to help you work smarter and not harder. Whether it's streamlining workflows, developing tailored solutions, or unlocking AI-driven insights, Tactical gets it done. So check out Tactical today at tactical.software and enjoy the rest of the show.
Trevor was performing with all of us on stage.
I wasn't there that time. You
Weren't
guys,
you?
dude, you were a whole generation ahead of me. I didn't get. Trevor was gone when I got in.
Okay, well, we were doing the little shitty pubs, clubs together, and there's Trevor, and he's coming on, and the response to him is getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
And we could see, okay. I mean, you know what it's like being on an ensemble cast.
Yes.
You know, there's five oaks on the lineup, and you're going, you know, your goal is not only to win the room, but your goal is to beat every other comic that night.
Yes, we don't say it.
No, we
but
don't
it's
say it.
definitely a competitive thing.
Absolutely right. I mean, so and Trevor was just like, you know, every night he was and we could see.
Momentum.
And then he's off to the US.
Yeah.
And his first show in the US, I think 12 people bought tickets. And it's such a great, humbling thing to look back on now, to see where he is now doing the big arenas, you know. And I mean, Jim Jeffries was telling me the story as well. You know, Jim Jeffries.
I know you opened for Jim many times.
Yeah.
You guys are good friends.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorites ever.
Oh, he's phenomenal.
He's curved, but I love it.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
So Jim was telling me, he said, the biggest thing was, so Jim left Australia.
Yes.
He went to London and he became a star in London. Then he jumped the Atlantic and he went to the US.
Yeah.
He said he could not sell a ticket in Sydney, where he's from.
That is so crazy.
Big star in London, big star in America, goes to Sydney, can't sell out a 500-seat theatre. That's changed now.
That is wild.
But I guess the point is...
It's always your hometown stuff.
But hey, man, I can't go back to Pound Town. There's fuck all there.
Yes.
So there's nothing waiting for me in Pound Town.
People also don't say like you from Durban.
I'm
You're
from
a
Durban,
boy.
Durban.
I'll tell you the stories around you, behind your back. The legend is that you went to East Coast Radio, sat on the steps there every day until they let you in the building. That's the legend. I don't know if that's true.
That the base of the story is true, but the radio station is wrong. It was Capital Radio where I did that.
Where's Capital Radio?
It's closed down now.
Was it a Durban-based radio?
Durban-based radio station, yeah.
Are you doing stand-up at this point, or are you just trying to get into radio at that point? What came first?
Radio is my thing.
Was radio the thing you started with?
Thing. Yeah. I was not a stand-up that went onto radio. I was a radio guy that
got into stand-up.
Stand-up. And I landed in stand-up purely by accident.
How so?
So I wanted to do radio. I sat on the steps. I waited till they let me in, then let me in the studio. And so the story unfolds. And then eventually I just made a nuisance of myself. And I just said I want to be on air. And I cut demos. And then eventually I got a shot, you know?
Yeah.
A graveyard shift. And from there, 12, 13 years, fast forward that, I found myself in London working on a radio station in London.
Did you leave? Wait, man, you're jumping ahead. So, like, you try to, first off, people don't get this.
Yeah.
People see Whackhead Simpson now.
Yeah.
Millions of people listening.
Yeah.
They don't get the early grind of the level. I always find the level of determination in Oaks that are successful. People almost they look at you like it's lucky. You also don't strike me as an Oak. You've never struck me as an Oak that came from money.
No, God, no.
Yeah. So there was no like, I'm from a fancy school.
No.
I've got a contact.
Got no inheritance. I got no nothing. I bought my first bicycle. I bought my first motorbike. At 15, I was working as a shelf packer at Pick and Pay.
Okay.
I'd forged. My brother was he was 15 months older than me.
Okay.
So you had to be 16 to do a casual job.
Yeah.
So Pick and Pay were like, you got to bring your ID.
Okay.
So I took a photo of myself, put it over his ID, that old green book.
Yes.
Photocopied that, took that to Pick and Pay. And
that's how you got your job?
Employed me, and I was earning like $6 an hour. But I hit that, I saved up, bought a motorbike. And on that very motorbike, I had to travel from Pinetown to Durban every day to go and hang out after school, sit outside the radio station and go.
So you're talking about school days at Capital
days,
Radio?
Yeah. School.
Please, did you so you went straight from school into radio?
I was in school in radio.
In radio?
Yeah. I'm still to this day the youngest guy ever to be on commercial radio. I was 16.
You know what scares me about these things? Like both, I got a little easier. My parents were very lekker. They sent me to good schools. They paid for varsity. I got a bit easy.
Yeah.
But there was still, it was middle class. It was, you made it in the world yourself. You know, I worry about. Now, I know you got boys. Don't you worry about, like, hard men make soft days?
No,
I worry about my kids, bro.
I've it's funny. I've thought about this a hell of a lot. Like, what do you do? Because I grew up tough, all right? I mean, I've lived in 2 garages. I've lived in 2 caravans.
Yeah.
And I've been around the world looking to be on radio. I've been hired, fired many, many times. I've stuck it out, stayed the course. And I am where I am now purely through self-belief, determination, and this is all I know how to do.
Yeah.
I don't know how to do anything else.
Plan B.
And your kids enter your life when you are kind of, I don't want to say
comfortable,
pinnacle, because I want it to get even bigger, And you go, how do I teach them how to scrap like your father had to scrap and grind and hustle all the time?
Yeah.
And it's hard because what do you have to do? Do you have to now enforce that upon them with your own lifestyle now? It's difficult. But this is what I thought about. So this is what you can. So it's all about expectation, right? So if you are here, then you want them to achieve higher. That's what we wanted to do. We wanted to get out of the hole.
Yeah.
So if you have come from a lot of cash, how do you make your kids
go higher or maintain?
Yeah. So it's all relative.
Yeah.
If I mean, my dad drove a Datsun Bucky, and when that was stolen in Pinetown, the family never got another car. We walked everywhere. All right. So, but if be that as it may, from the Bucky, it was like I never wanted to drive a Bucky. I wanted to drive a Golf.
Yes.
So if your kid now from a privileged background is driving in a Mercedes to school, as long as he's dreaming of driving a Rolls Royce, he's on the path.
Yeah.
If he's going in a Rolls Royce to school, he better be dreaming about going in a private jet to school.
Yeah.
So if you can try get them to just keep reaching above where they are.
I agree with you, because I've got friends, man, like that come from privilege that outwork most of my other brasa. Because there's a hunger in some. And I spotted it in my kid, which gave me a little bit of hope. You can see them at athletics at school.
Yeah.
There's I'm going to win energy. You want that. They call it, listen, I know people are saying toxic masculinity all the time, but you need a little bit of that in you.
I think you need a bit of that. You also need a bit of arrogance.
Little bit.
A little bit. Not a debilitating level of arrogance. That arrogance to stand there on the start line and go, I'm better than you and I'm going to win.
Yeah.
It's all in the mind, man.
Yes,
All in the
absolutely.
mind.
My brother says it's a healthy amount of delusion is good.
Yeah,
You know, like,
yeah, absolutely.
yeah, you're deluded. Just
But
think about
delusions
it.
of grandeur is debilitating, then.
100%. There's this balance in life, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So you at Capital Radio in high school, you're working at Pick and Pay. How do you end up in London? Were you one of that group of people that when fuck it, ons gaan nou gaan bartender see?
No.
Remember, there was that, like,
Yeah.
all my elder cousins. They were
Yeah,
all
yeah.
like, we're going to go and take a gap year, but...
Yeah, and everybody, they've either stayed in London and they've married a British woman, or they've brought the British woman back. Yeah, you know?
Yeah.
But no, I was never about that. I was... so from Capital Radio, and then Capital Radio was shut down. Then from there, we went... I was like, this is now end of 1996. South Africa's changed. I've got 2 years radio experience on a graveyard shift. I was nothing. I was nobody.
Yeah.
There were very few radio stations. There was no community radio. There was no supermarket radio. There was none of the smaller radio stations. You know, it was commercial. That's it. You're in the Champions League from the start.
Okay.
And you're up against all these guys, the Alex J, Kevin Savages, the guys that have been in this business forever.
Yeah.
So I was really up against it.
And those oaks are also doing TV. Alex J was on TV and on radio.
Exactly.
He was the biggest noise.
Huge,
you know?
hugest star, you know. And then I was like, well, I've got no chance now.
Yeah.
So through just 1996, it was also that time when a lot of people in my circle were leaving for Australia.
Oh.
So I was like, well, maybe let me try Australia.
Okay.
So I got a retrenchment package and I just started. I literally used to phone Australia.
Okay.
Like our 1023,
Yeah.
Telcom inquiries. I'd phone and I'd say to Australia, hello, can you please, I need numbers of radio stations.
Where are you calling them from? This is long distance in
This is from the
96.
home phone. This is from the home phone in Pinetown. And
That pearl is not looking pretty.
No, it wasn't. So, because then my parents, the bill was so high, they used to lock it, but then I used to tap the phone.
Yes,
You would
we
do
used
that
to
trick.
tap the phone, yeah.
So then I was to phone and they'd literally start with A. Okay, all right, mate, we're going to give you the ABC, Australian Broadcasting. And I was like, that sounds like government. I want private. I don't want government.
Yeah.
And they walked down like Aruba 95.2, you know?
Yeah.
And I started there. So I would just phone them and I'd say, listen, I'm from South Africa. I want to come and work there. Same response every time. One guy, a guy called Gary Beatty, that I got to, he, from another race, it was about the 10th call in. He said to me, he said, listen, I see what you're trying to do. I told him the story. And then he said, okay, you phone me every week. We've got an industry magazine here. And this industry magazine publishes all the available jobs. So you're not going to be cold calling like a telemarketer. You're going to be applying for vacant positions. And I did that, and then I got an offer.
You just from calling from South Africa?
Just from calling.
And you're still a kid at this time?
I'm a kid. I'm 18. So then the guy said, okay, I like what you do. Tiny little radio station, man. Like tiny radio station.
Does he know you're a South African?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So he said, yeah, come on over. And if you can come on over, we'll worry about the work permits when you get here. We'll apply for you here.
What's his name?
Gary Beatty. So
willing to take a chance.
Yeah, and then I got on a plane. I'd never been on an aircraft before.
Your first time, somewhere
Overseas. I'd never been on an aircraft before. Now, leaving Durban, I had to fly to Joburg. Joburg, had to fly to Malaysia. From Malaysia into Cairns, Australia. Because this station was 100 km south of Cairns.
Okay.
It was called Cool FM. And then they said, okay, we'll pick you up at the airport. Now, I mean, my parents are going, what are you doing? You're getting on a plane and some people are picking you up at the airport in Australia.
Yeah.
So I said, yeah, I'm going to take a chance. I arrived there. This guy's wife and her friend, it was the biggest culture shock of my life. Because they picked me up at the airport. The two ladies weren't wearing shoes. each had a can of Jack Daniels and Coke, ready mix. It's 1996. I'm like, I've never seen this before. They wait for me at the airport like that. We get into a Holden car, which is like an Australian brand.
Yeah.
And I'm in the back seat. And these two ladies are driving with their windows down, drinking Jack Daniel and Coke, smoking cigarettes that come in packs of 50. They're called holidays. It comes in a pack of 50.
50 cigarettes.
And they are clapping these cigarettes, and I'm sitting in the back seat. I don't know where I'm going, and I go, how did you get here?
Dude.
And then they said, so I said, well, where am I going to stay? They said, no, you stay in the caravan park. I was like,
Yeah?
they said, no, you should stay in the caravan park.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you've got the training. You've been in a caravan, babe.
So then they go drop me off at the caravan park, and they said the station manager will come pick you up later, take you to the station. Because I was doing 7 to 10 in the evening.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that went on for 9 months, and they tried to get me a visa, but they said no. Get out.
Okay. And then you out of Australia after that.
Yeah. So then I left Australia.
Where next? Back to South Africa?
Yeah. Then I came back to South Africa, and I went to Joburg for a very short period to community radio station that opened up. And I'm already an unknown. No one knows me in South Africa.
Yeah.
But I've got this nice little bit of Australian radio experience. I'm still cuck, though.
Yeah.
I'm cuck. And then they said, I can work on this community radio. But, I mean, there was no money. It was not going anywhere.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think anybody listened to this thing. And then my brother was murdered. All right?
What?
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
Please pull this mic closer to your face.
Okay.
I don't want to miss this. You're a broadcast guy. You know how to handle these things.
Yeah.
Your brother was murdered.
Yeah. He was murdered, and he was a manager of a butchery.
Yeah.
In central Durban.
Yeah.
And they got held up.
Ach, no.
And it was the second time they got held up. I've never actually told the story publicly. So yeah,
you don't have to.
No, I'm fine, man.
Yeah.
So he was held up. Now my brother, he was like 6'2". We all did like kiddie karate. We all got our black belts growing up, and then he took it further and he did ninjutsu. After that, he did kickboxing. He did wrestling. He did
combat
everything.
sports stuff.
He was a proper weapon, this guy, right?
Yeah.
And then, so he got held up the first time, and they cleared the safe out of the butchery, but he was a changed guy after that.
Mm.
And I know that he was like, I can't take this stuff lying down, you know?
Mm.
6 weeks later, they held him up again. And then same modus operandi, gun to the head, on the floor, give us everything. They took everything, and then they were leaving.
Mm.
And he got up and he was like, I'm not taking this.
Oof.
And the last guy, he got hold of the last guy, exiting the door. And he started laying into this guy. And one of the guys saw, they came back, and they're just execution style.
Oh, that's devastating.
Yeah, it was, you know. And then
How old is he at this time?
He was 22.
Child.
Yeah.
And you are?
I was 20.
That changes
20,
you.
21, yeah. And then at that point, I was like very disillusioned, and I wanted out, and I was like,
Yeah.
I'm out of here.
Yeah.
You know? And then everybody was ducking to England, you know.
Yeah.
You could get that 2-year holiday visa.
Kan op die tap.
Done, yeah. So I was like, yeah, okay, that's it. I'm out of here, you know. And then I went to the UK, and I worked in a bar there for 6 months. But the plan was I'm going to get onto radio.
Always. Your North Star is I'm going on a radio.
That's it. It's radio. And then when I got on, I thought, you know what? I'm not going to make the same mistake that I made with Australia.
Yeah.
I need to be a bit more strategic. I need to learn the culture firstly. And I thought the best way to learn the British culture is in a pub.
Okay. Absolutely.
So before I started applying for any jobs, I started to work in the pub, and I'd talk to the guys. I'd get the lingo. I'd know where their heads are at, what the sacred cows are, what the no-go zones are, so that because I've always pushed the limit on radio. I've always taken it right to the edge.
Yeah.
So then, after 6 months, I was like, I think I know these oaks now.
Okay.
And then I started applying, and then I got a job in North London on this radio station.
Okay. And then now you're there. How long were you there for?
I was there for 3 years.
Okay.
3 years, yeah. But I knew it was never going to be my forever after.
You knew instinctively?
I knew, yeah. I knew. You see, because the UK market is very, very regional, where, like a guy that works in Liverpool is not going to ever work in London. He might do a daytime show, because I was doing a 12 to 3 daytime show. You're never going to get breakfast, because in radio, that's the goal. That's the pinnacle. You do
breakfast or drive time, right?
Well, breakfast.
Yeah.
Drive is kind of like, it's CEO, MD,
Okay.
So, and they said, you will never, as long as you have that accent, you will never be doing a breakfast show in the UK.
So they would tell you that straight?
Straight up. And they said, you know what, a guy from Liverpool is never going to do a breakfast show in London.
and he's from England.
Yeah, and the opposite applies there as well. So I knew there was a ceiling that I was going to hit. So, the growth was never going to, I was never going to fulfill that. So I was like, so this is going to be an experience, and I'm going to go back to South Africa with a lot of experience and get into bigger, better radio stations.
Yeah.
And work my way up.
Yeah.
And then, 3 years, I did my time there. And I just, every day was one day too much, that UK really got to me. It just wasn't for me,
Yeah. And you never, at that point, did you feel like coming back home? Was that a thing?
Yeah, I did. Because, I used to walk. I had an hour-long walk to the radio station every day. Hour-long walk back. There and back. Now, you know what the weather's like in the UK.
Bro, on a good day.
Because this radio station was in, the town was called Nebworth.
Okay.
So I was staying in Wimbledon. So this was the journey to the radio station. All right. Wimbledon, I'd catch the green line to the black line. The black line underground right the way across to North London. North London, I'd get out, get onto the overground, and then I hit a train going to Nebworth.
Yeah.
From Nebworth Park, you know where Robbie Williams had his concert?
Yes.
The pump house of Nebworth.
Yes.
That's where the radio station was in. So
that is a different, like for people that don't understand, that line from Wimbledon already to that black line, it's forever.
It is. And then the northern line, you're going right the way from South London right through to North London. Yeah. That's an hour.
That's a whole different, those people they live in a different place.
Yeah. So.
And this is not at the time with a new line, what's that, new Jubilee lines and stuff.
No,
those things are not there.
No, it's not there.
Get fast, extra fast, none of that. You're in the old chuku.
Yeah. Sitting there like this.
Yeah.
And then, so it was in a very remote location.
Yeah.
They thought it's an iconic venue. Nebworth is not just Robbie Williams.
Yeah.
You go back in history, The Who, the Rolling Stones. That was the Kirstenbosch, right?
Okay, cool.
So there was no real taxis. There's no Uber at this time.
Yeah.
I didn't have a car.
So this is 2 hours up and down every day.
But the worst part was I get out at Nebworth train station. It's an hour walk through those farmlands. It was just farms. It's trees. It's bush. It's like a remote dirt road.
Hey, dude.
Clapping there in the rain, clapping back all the way down. For the dream, man. It was
for the dream. I mean, people look at you now. Like, you look at people and you go, looks like this just got in. People always have this perception that you walked into radio as Whackhead Simpson.
Yeah.
And like to hear the details of this thing.
Yeah.
Dude, many people have given up. They got an office job in Cape Town. They're done now.
No, trust me. Everyone around me was saying, dude, okay, when are you going to get over this dream? You know? And I was like, no, this is what I'm going to do.
This is what I'm doing.
And I'm not going to stop.
And then when you finished the 3 year stint, back to South Africa?
Back to South Africa, yeah. And then I got straight away now, because now I've gotten a bit better.
Yeah, you got experience now.
Yeah.
And you've also worked in different markets.
Yeah.
You're also dealing with corporates a little bit. Because there's a whole different thing people don't speak about, is that once you're in these things, it's a corporate.
Yeah.
It's rands and cents, it's marketing, it's HR. It's,
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know, and when you're coming just as a kid, all you want to do is tell a joke, or all you want to do is broadcast.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
there's a lot of admin, a lot of dealing with people, lots of political maneuvering to get onto the mic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, the thing is that now the radio industry in South Africa it still is kind of small, very cliquey. Everyone's worked with everybody.
Yeah.
But there's a South African guy working on radio in London.
Okay.
Jeez, okay. So now I've got a bit of a... Who's this
little
guy?
mystique about you.
But he's like, he's never worked in South Africa. You know what I'm saying? But they're like, no, he did, but it wasn't really. And then, so when I came back, and I went back to Durban, and it was the probably the most soul destroying moment. It wasn't rock bottom.
Yeah.
But it was, there's nothing like, once you leave your parents' house,
Yeah.
you can never move back. It's the biggest sign that you failed in life.
Yes.
Right?
And I think that's a global thing. It's not just with us.
Yeah.
You can't. My
can't.
biggest fear is always, once they're back, I'm back at home.
Totally.
In Hanky.
Exactly.
I'm thinking I'm going straight back to Hanky.
One paycheck back in Downtown. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I mean, and I got there. I've now done all this stuff. And I get to Pinetown. I knock on the door. I'm back. And, bruh, I still got my Pamela Anderson poster on my wall from high school, the barbed wire one. And I'm like, I'm back.
In my parents' house.
To day zero. And I was like...
You're not actually, but the feeling is like that.
Absolutely. I still hadn't had a job offer. And I'm like...
So you just upped and left there? You decided I'm clear now?
Yeah. And it's like, bro, you better get your shit together. Because now, what had happened when I was in London, I had a very nice article written about me that was in the newspaper. And the guy that wrote the article, he's one of these multi-portfolio dudes. He wanted to be an actor. He wrote a column. He did stand-up. He did everything, but he never did anything well, you know?
Yeah.
And he wrote this quite flattering article about this South African guy who's arrived here. He doesn't know where he is, but he's got all these opinions of this place, and we find it quite refreshing.
Yeah.
So he actually, then the one day he phoned me via the station, and he said, man, I'd like to meet you. He was quite intrigued by me for some reason.
Yeah.
So I'm like, cool, let's meet at the pub after the show, you know?
Yeah.
So we did, and he said, mate, you should do stand-up comedy.
Okay. This is now still in London at this time.
So I was like, stand-up comedy?
Because he's obviously keeling over you, telling stories.
Yeah. And he, so he does stand-up. He says, man, there's an open mic night happening in Camden Town in London. Come and have a look.
Okay.
I went and had a look. I'd never seen a live stand-up comedy show, ever. And I went and I sat there and I was like, sure. You know what? If radio is not going to work out, I need a backup plan. So then I went and I did a few, like 3-4 minutes. And I went onto that stage in London and it was horrible.
Yeah.
I died, man. I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
And then I left it.
Okay.
But then it wasn't too many months later that I'd now come back to South Africa.
Yeah.
You know, so I wasn't really taking anything seriously. But there was this thing about, I've always got this thing, if I'm doing something, I've got to do it properly.
Yeah.
And I've got to give it a full go before I give up.
Yeah.
So then I came back to South Africa to go, okay, let me try do the stand-up thing. But now I'm in Durban and there's nothing happening in Durban. Nothing.
Same story.
Joe
in
Parker
PE.
came out of Durban, John Vlismus came out of Durban, but they both live in Joburg.
Yeah.
So in Pinetown, would you believe it? I'm sitting there, still not doing anything in Durban. It's weeks are going by. John Vlismus is performing at the nightclub.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, let me go see John Vlismus.
Yeah.
So in Pinetown.
Yeah.
So I go see him, and then afterwards, I catch him after the show, and I say, hey, John, I'd like to try this.
Yeah.
And then he said, I've got this club. If you've got 5 minutes, Cool Runnings in Melville.
Yeah.
Give me a call when you're ready. And that's how my first gig was at Cool Runnings in Melville.
That's wild. You know, these things we just spoke about, John. John watched me once, came up to me and he said, I think you got it. And then went, a couple of weeks later, he said, come open for me in Bloemfontein.
That's amazing.
He's done that
An
for so many
endorsement
people.
from John is huge, man.
Yeah, no, it put me, it like really like made me go, hey, maybe there's something, you know.
But bro, you were good from the beginning.
You know, my thing is that I don't know if I was good from, like, who's ever really good from the beginning.
Yeah.
But I had a feel for it. I
But
always
there's
had a
some that
feel
learn
for it.
on the job.
Yeah.
But you were more of a natural.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. That's a great
Yeah,
compliment.
no,
Nah, like,
absolutely.
I appreciate that. It was very much, and also I think it's because, again, same as you, like, I come from a very, like, interesting background. Man, when you're exposed to people when you're young, I think, like, my father had a shop, like a corner shop, and he
Yeah.
put me in there.
Yeah.
And, you know, aunties come in with complaints, and this one is fighting with that one, and it's just, life is happening, and people are struggling. And it's sort of all those things, and also small towns is about telling a story, man. Snake
Yeah.
stuck. And then somehow all these things came together with a business degree and sort of just, but then it obviously just didn't take off. When me and you met, I was like a club dwelling comic for years. You know? Like I would do really well in the clubs and no one would know who I was.
Yeah.
You know, guys like Joe and them, Joe, John, the Goliaths, those guys gave me a shot at club
Yeah.
gigs, you know, but yeah.
Yeah, but I still remember because you always know when we would do these big shows and there's 8 guys on the lineup.
Yeah.
You know, there's a guy that will always stand out, and you look from the wings. Who's this new guy?
Yeah.
Shit, he's quite good. Eh?
Yeah. You know how comics are,
And
we
he's
all
good.
said, yeah.
And he's good, and he's only been doing it for 5 months. Shit.
It's that thing. And then you start going, like, comics are like this. We're all in the backstage area talking shit until you hear someone get a big laugh.
Or everybody's out.
And it's like,
Ooh,
what's
what was that?
happening?
What was that?
Who's what is going on?
Exactly.
But anyway, so that is how you're now back in Durban. Then how did you end up in Joburg? Did you ever work at East Coast?
Yeah.
Yes, you worked at East Coast.
Yeah. So I worked at East Coast after.
Was that how you got yourself out your mom's house?
No, while I was staying at while I was working
Back
at
in
East
Durban,
Coast,
yeah.
I was living in my mom's house,
Yeah.
and then that was my second caravan after that
Okay.
because the East Coast money wasn't good, eh?
But listen, the weird thing about East Coast radio is like you become famous, bro. Durban
Yeah,
knows who you are. Like you're a household name if you're on East Coast radio.
yeah. But the beauty that East Coast has is that in Durban there's only East Coast.
Yes.
There's East Coast and there was 5,
Yeah.
and East Coast had way taken over 5
Five,
at that
yeah.
stage. It used to be the other way around.
Yeah.
You know, East Coast was for the toppies. Your parents lived
Yes,
East
yes,
Coast,
yes.
and we grew up with 5.
Yeah.
And then that changed,
Yeah.
and everybody was listening to East Coast. So East Coast they had the market all to themselves.
Yes.
So it was a fantastic market, and I had a fantastic time.
Yes.
But the management fired me from East Coast.
This is another thing that's a weird thing about radio. Is that these massive brands, I'm not going to mention Oak's names, but we know massive guys on radio just gone one. You just I'm leaving tomorrow.
Yeah.
It always feels so abrupt. And in the morning when I used to drive to work, you build a relationship with a guy. You know, in your head,
You know, there's a lot of radio stations that don't want you to have your last show. Look, 9 times out of 10,
yeah.
you always get fired.
Yeah.
Or you can put it more diplomatically, contract wasn't renewed,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And there's various reasons why you could get fired for whatever.
Yeah.
You know, but it's never it's very rarely on good terms. So
Yeah.
they don't give you your last show.
Yeah.
There's-
Do they
they've got to have a lot
surprise
of
you? Is it
time.
really a surprise? Or do people get told, hey, listen, but your contract is coming and it's coming, and you go, hey, it must be in the air.
No, it's actually quite bad because unless you've got like a very good IQ and you can sense what's coming, a lot of people are blindsided by it. It's like, today was your last show and you've just done it.
Yeah, because also people, if you tell oh, tomorrow's your last show, you can imagine it could go nuts on the radio.
Could be a liability, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what they're scared of. And yeah, I guess it's warranted. But if the guys that get their last show are the guys that are trusted,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And
Professionals.
yeah.
Old hat.
Because I mean, like I always say to guys, if you're gonna go and do that on your last show,
You're not getting a next show.
you're gonna be unemployable.
Especially in this country, like you said, radio is it's not a good big space. Everyone knows each other.
Yeah, we've all worked with each other.
All know when you like, and in fact, I'm not even in radio, but I will hear stories about, hey, it's not going like there by XYZ show. You know?
Yeah.
But it's wild. You probably, sorry, you, Aiden Thomas, yourself, Stan Mars, couple of guys in Joburg have had, but you amongst the guys that have been here at a high level. I mean, you were 94.7. You were people. That's why when you talk about regional radio stations, I feel like that about certain radio stations, like Heart FM over here. If you're living in Joburg, it's almost non-existent to you.
Yeah.
Or like I'm not saying Good Hope, or even like KFM, you'd have to. It's not on your band.
Yeah.
If it's not in your car on your band. It's not easy to get. You're not tuning in via
unknown,
phone, streaming in the morning So you have this relationship with these people.
Yeah.
You were a staple when I was in Joburg. You were the 94.7. It was just that.
Yeah,
And then one day, and I remember bumping you at the club.
Yeah.
And you said like, nah, I'm moving to Cape Town, dude. I remember your wife and me were chatting backstage. His wife, lovely lady. She's chatting to me backstage. But she was quite keen to come to Cape Town.
Yeah.
And then the next thing, it felt like you were taken away from us. Then we heard you at KFM. And then 3 months later, I'm telling you the stories we talk about. Did you hear? Apparently, fucking numbers are going through the roof there by KFM since. Because there was a big shift apparently.
Yeah.
Your stuff really took well, yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean it has. It's been a great success story. I mean it's. All the records have been broken, and you know what's my, but this is not so much about me. This is more of like a TED talk. Okay?
Yeah.
It's about always wanting to be the best. So it's about I want to break a record because when I was in Joburg, I was getting a bit bored.
Okay.
I left Joburg 2017. I was already bored. Come 2015, I was already getting bored.
Yeah.
Because it was, okay, what am I chasing?
Yeah.
You know, you winning the Best of Joburg awards every year.
Yeah.
It's number one in the ratings all the time. So what's the next? What am I chasing? I've always got to chase something.
Yeah.
So then it was like, 2015, where do I go? Eventually, it was like, maybe I must go overseas again. What's my next challenge?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. But listen, at that point, you're comfortable, man. Like, you're not struggling now anymore.
No.
It's you want to put yourself in an uncomfortable space.
Yeah.
But like you go, you've got a family.
Yeah.
You had the Whackhead, the club is doing well. Everything that time you touched was like people are flocking, you know?
Yeah.
If you said it was a golf day, it sold out. You were out. You were the local boy.
Yeah.
To just go. It felt like you just left us. It was a hostile divorce.
No, but you know the thing is, it's so when I came to KFM, because I mean KFM was part of the group, and
yes.
KFM was struggling. They were
At that time,
really struggling. Yeah, KFM was number 3 in the market. So I was like, well, that's a challenge. I want to get them to number 1.
Yeah.
And then in 9 months we got to number 1. And then I was like, okay, now we're here.
Yeah.
What's the next?
Yeah.
And I was like, I want the most listeners
Okay.
in the history of the Western Cape.
Okay.
And then we got that.
Okay, you got that. I didn't know you got that.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Shit.
Thank you. And then I was like, okay, now what's next? So then I was like, now I want to be the number one most listened to show in South Africa.
Okay.
Of all the regional competitors.
Yeah.
The 947s, the East Coast and stuff.
Yeah.
And then I got that.
Oh, so that's done too?
That's done as well. And dealing with a much smaller population.
Yeah.
You know, it's that much more difficult. So I got that. So my show's most listened to regional commercial radio station in South Africa. And then it's like, okay, now what's next?
Yeah.
You know?
It's always like that with you though. What's next?
I have to chase something. That's what gets me out of bed. So that's what I always say to people. It's you've got to be goal orientated.
Yeah.
You've got to be chasing something. And this is like one of my philosophies I have. I mean, life, as you know, you get your house, you get your car, you have your kids, you're happily married. Life can become mundane.
Yes.
You know? How do you keep it exciting?
Yeah.
And what I say is, what's that one thing that excites you? All right?
Yeah.
So is it a holiday, perhaps? Always have a holiday in your horizon.
Yeah. Something to look forward to.
Because that shortens the gap. So now we go, all right, this year, I've got this whole year ahead of me. Same thing. Day in, day out. Wake up, go to work, come back, boom, 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 boom. What's that carrot that I'm dangling?
Yeah.
So book a holiday, have a 9-month run to look forward to this holiday.
Yeah.
It shortens that gap. It makes that gap a lot more exciting. It's something I've always done, and it works for me.
It worked for you. So you got fired at East Coast. Then where did you start in Joburg? Did you come straight in?
Well, as soon as I got fired, like the next day, I got a call from 947.
Oh, okay.
And they said, like, hey, we heard you got fired.
Okay.
Can you come work with us? See, because the thing is with East Coast, I got fired for the right reason.
What's the right reason to get fired?
I got fired because I was too edgy.
Oh, okay. Because that was the prank calls was now. When did pause? So the prank calls was the edgy stuff. Was that it?
No.
Not
Just
necessarily.
when I would talk about edgy stuff. You know,
Okay.
it's almost like doing the stand-up stuff. You know?
Yeah.
And they would say, East Coast is very conservative.
Yeah.
Very conservative. I'm like, nah, man, you know what? Shake this place up a bit. We don't have to be so conservative.
Say wild things and get looked at through the glass.
Yeah. So they were like, yeah, you know what? This place needs a shake-up,
Yeah.
So I did. But apparently I shook it up too much.
Why?
Because I got fired. They said,
Yeah.
no.
On the East Coast, of course.
Yeah, they were like,
It's too much.
The exact wording was, we think you're damaging the brand.
Okay. But then now if you look at them, they've moved on progressively after that. Because I think they figured out that when you left, possibly they went, okay, well, we lost something there. We should have maybe stepped on the gas.
Then, so immediately 947 phoned me and they said,
Kom dear.
we want you to come and join the Rude Awakening, which was Jeremy Mansfield, Samantha Cow, and Harry Sideropoulos.
Okay. Quite a powerful team. That's a liquor team.
And they were
Yes. Jeremy Mansfield was Jeremy Mansfield.
The goat, man.
Yeah.
The absolute goat.
May he rest in peace.
Yeah, man. And that, even thinking about how that whole thing ended, which I'll tell you about. But then from there, they said, come and join the team. But we want you to come and do the stuff you were doing at East Coast.
Yeah.
But we need to try and massage you into this team. So I can't just be, who's this new guy,
Do you have any relationship with Jeremy and them
I've
at
never
that time?
met him.
Because
I've never met him.
If you're talking about a juggernaut, that guy in Joburg then couldn't do any wrong kind of thing.
Nah, I mean, I walked in there like...
Yeah. And you're now a part of the team now.
Yeah. And I've got so much respect for the man for all of them.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, this is because I'd never done an ensemble show before.
Yeah.
It was always on my own.
Yeah.
So I was like, how's this gonna work now? You know?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, this is the way it should be.
Yeah.
You know, because one day this is where I want to be.
Yeah.
And breakfast shows are always ensemble casts.
Yes.
So now it's about time I get ready to learn the next phase.
I see.
So I was like, this is my university.
Yeah.
This is my radio university.
Yeah.
And I need to now learn how to work in what we call in radio zoo format.
What
Which
is
is
that?
an ensemble cast.
Okay. Radio
A
Zoom.
morning
Okay.
zoo format.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
And so I sat there in the corner doing as I was told
Yeah.
as a sponge,
Yeah. Just taking it in.
learning,
Yeah.
you know.
I mean, listen, you know spring chicken at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've seen the world a bit. You've seen things. You
Yeah.
want East Coast was nothing to snuff at. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, East Coast lasted a year and then, you know, and it was a whole new world for me, which was very, very exciting.
Yeah.
And I learned so much
Okay.
from Jeremy and also, you know, the Harry and Sam, and then things carried on, and then Harry left and I got pushed in more.
Yeah.
And then eventually Jeremy one day he said 2010 World Cup is coming. 2008 already. He said, because he's the marquee act, you know, he wasn't on a 1-year contract. He at that stage was on a 3-year contract. And he said 2010 he's done.
Okay.
He's retiring. He's
Yeah.
had enough. He's been there, done that, seen it all.
Yeah.
And he's tired and he wants to go and enjoy his retirement.
Okay.
And then 2010 started to roll on, and then Jeremy retired. But already in 2008, they said, "You the succession plan."
Okay. That's
So
great.
we were building to that
Yeah.
nobody knew about
Yeah.
for 2 years, you know.
Ah.
And then it seemed like, as you say, Jeremy announces, because when it's like that,
Yeah.
you announce 1 month before you leave.
Yes.
But this is a guy who's been there forever.
Yes. Yes.
It's like we
How
can't
long
have
was
a
he on
month.
that?
We need a year to say goodbye,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So that 1 month felt very short. And I mean, I even said to Jeremy, I said, Jem, because we used to sit at the news cafe across the road there in Sandton.
Yes.
And I said to him, I said, Jem, I'm not ready.
Yeah.
This is too big.
Yeah.
It's too big too soon.
Yeah.
I said, I'm so comfortable with just being the guy in the background,
Yeah.
doing the prank call, running my mouth,
Yes.
making funny comments,
Yeah.
and you taking the heat for everything.
Yeah.
Because he was the shield.
Yes.
If there were ever complaints,
It's
or
his
people
show.
moaning,
He's the flagship of the show.
he's
Yeah.
the guy that gets all the shit, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, this is a sweet. And I was getting paid decently. I
Yes.
could live. I was really happy in my life.
Yeah.
Now you come and you've rocked my world.
Yeah.
I said, Jem, please stay on. Stay another year.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he said, no, he's done.
I'm done.
He said, it's your shot now.
And I remember you talk about that. I know that news cafe. Then Friedman Drive. The wild thing is that so this guy, so he leaves. You now it. People also forget how it's not just you prep for the show. I mean, of course, after a while you become it's second hand for you. You know how a show runs.
Yeah.
But there's also so many engagements that you have to go to because of the radio station.
Yeah.
It's like when Jeremy says, I'm tired, I can't believe he's tired. Because
Yeah.
I used to see that guy, because he was in such demand off radio.
Yeah.
I used to see him at every, corporate functions. If he wanted to work every day of the week, he could.
You know, I'll tell you a funny story. And this is where Jeremy and I, we used to work so well together. The one day he phones me, it's about 5 o'clock. Now, I'm doing stand-up, but I'm not that great.
Yeah.
I've got a tight 20.
Yes,
you know?
yes,
like
yes.
a solid
You're traveling
20,
with
solid
everywhere
20,
you
man.
go.
I
that
hit this
move.
20 everywhere I go, you know. And then he says, for people who don't understand,
Yeah.
that's a solid 20-minute
That's it.
set.
You start
right?
with 5, you work your way up.
5, 10,
You can
15,
close on a 20.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he phones me the one day and he says, Darren, where are you? So I'm like, because Jeremy was very well known for his traffic joke. Okay, it was called the traffic joke. Jeremy was the greatest joke teller, like
Yeah.
old school joke teller.
Yes. Snare stick.
Three men walk into a bar.
Yes.
Nobody could beat Jeremy telling a joke like that.
Yes.
But what people didn't know about Jeremy, too, as much as he was brash and this behind the microphone, in front of people, he was one of the most nervous, shy guys you'll ever meet.
Really?
Nervous, shy guy.
Yeah.
And he said to me, it's like 5 o'clock. He says, Darren, I'm emceeing this show. It was at the Johannesburg Country Club. He says, I'm emceeing the show for the South African Chefs Association. He was always very tied in with them.
Yes.
He said, they've said, can I tell some jokes?
Yes.
And he says, Darren, I don't feel comfortable telling jokes in public.
Yeah.
Can you come?
He tells jokes on radio.
On radio.
And he's public.
But there's no one staring at him.
It's this weird thing.
Yeah.
When people look at you, there's 100, 200 people in a room.
And you demand the reaction right there.
Yo.
So he said, they want me to tell jokes. So can you come now?
Yeah.
And just do your set
thing.
for me, please. And I'll say, hey, Darren's here and he's going to do a set,
Yeah.
I said, sure, man, I'll be there. And I went and I did stand-up for 20 minutes. And it was great.
Yeah.
So we used to hustle like that.
Oh, that's great. Nice little combo.
Yeah.
Also, because guys like that guy gets a lot of gigs, It's a get and if you just to stand up, that's what you want. You just want those corporates. You just want to be in front of them because you make good money doing that.
Yeah, that's
Okay, so then you become. Then when does the? Because I'm finding a weird gap here. Because when does the Whackhead thing come? First of all, where does the name Whackhead come from? It's just because you're wacky.
So no, that was like a school name. We all had nicknames at school, and so at school I was always the oak with the mouth,
Yeah.
but only the end part of school.
Yeah.
I was the shy guy in the first part. Going to all boys school, 1,300 boys.
Yes.
Pinetown boys are. You got to know your place,
Yes.
So I was never a big guy.
Yeah.
I used to surf, but there were the surfers, the real cool surfers with the bleach blonde hair and all that. And then there was the guys that wanted to surf.
Yes.
I was those guys on the shark biscuit, on the the bodyboard, boogie board.
Yeah.
And couldn't really stand up on a real surfboard. So we weren't really the cool oaks,
Yeah.
So I just used to have a mouth,
Yeah.
and that got me into those circles.
Yes.
So that's where I became known as that.
Oh, so who gave you the name Whackhead? One of the kids
It comes
there.
from school, yeah.
Just like
Comes
whack
from
it and
school.
it sticks.
Yeah, like every oak's got
And
a
then
name.
you took it with you.
No, well, so how it happened was when I got onto the show in Joburg,
Yeah.
and I said to Jeremy, because I did one prank that I just did,
Yeah.
and it went on air, and it just landed there.
Yeah.
And there was a big thing from the audience, and they were saying, we want more and more and more. And then our Australian radio consultant, who's the guy who oversees the station, he was like, yeah, mate, we need one of those every day.
So this is back in Australia now again.
No. This is at 947.
Oh,
at Harveld. I've just joined Harveld.
Oh, is that thing run from another country?
No. So in radio, a lot of radio
Yeah.
stations, you have your station manager, your local people.
Yeah.
But then you have a radio consultant.
Oh, I
Who's a
see. Because that's
specialist in
because
the
I mean
world.
that's Prime Media. That's yeah.
So this
Okay,
is
so
a
this
guy.
guy's just watching, consulting.
So we had this radio consultant called Ian Grace, who's like a guru of radio worldwide, and he will come in for a week, listen to the show, shit on you all, tell you how cuck you are, do better, otherwise you're all getting fired,
Yeah.
So he would come in, and then they would run things past him when he wasn't in town, and I said, listen, this happened. So he's like, that's great, mate. We need that every single day. At this time, we lock it in at a certain time, 7:10. So I was like, sure.
A prank call every day.
Every day. So
From
like,
one, were you just trying one out?
I was just like, Jem, let's just have some fun. We're doing something different. Let me just do a prank call. Now it's like, no, you do it every day.
And the prank calls. So your first prank call was on Jeremy's show.
No, I had been doing pranks before.
Okay.
On East Coast.
Okay.
Was where I actually started
with the prank calls. Yeah.
Doing the pranks, and then so now I've got to do one every day.
Yeah.
So now we've got to lock it into an appointment to listen time slot feature.
That also now adds a whole lot of complexity to your daily life because you can't leave the radio station before you got one land.
Until I've got one, yeah. And so I was like, I thought, you know what? No one's going to know Darren, you know? I need a nickname that's going to catch on. Because it's Jeremy, Sam, Harry.
Yeah.
Add Darren, like a law firm. You know, it's not going to work.
Yeah, it's too vanilla. It's
so
too
just
bland.
Throw in something that's in and out, you know?
Yes, yes.
So I said to Jeremy, I said, you know what? At school, I was known as Whackhead. He's like, I love that. You know Whackhead.
Yeah. So then you start referring to you.
So then I became only known as Whackhead, and nobody knew who my name was.
Yeah.
Nobody knew what my actual real name was. But as a brand, it worked brilliantly because it stood out, you know? It's like the old days of stand-up when they would say, like, on a stage, there's an ensemble cast, there's 5 acts.
Yeah.
The guys would, because, I mean, you've seen, you can go we can go do a big show, 4,000 people, Emperor's Palace,
Yes.
Grand West.
Yes.
We can come off, it can be you, me, Mark Lottering, Nick Rabinovitz, all these. We come off and somebody meets you out there and says, hey, I love that joke you said.
Yes.
And I go, yeah, that was actually Mark Lottering's joke. It wasn't mine, but I'll tell him. But they think they don't remember who said the joke. They just know they had a great time.
Yeah.
So back in the old days of stand-up,
Yeah.
the guys would always have a shtick.
Yeah.
It would be a funny hat.
Something
would
to
be-
remember the person by.
You would always be wearing a pink shirt. So
Yes,
you'd go,
yes.
The guy in the pink shirt, he's funny.
Yeah.
Because they're never going to remember your name.
Yes.
So I applied that and it actually worked to my success there.
Yeah. So that's how the Whackhead thing came. But now with the prank calls, there was a time I was working in Musica in early 2000s.
Yeah.
Then we, over Christmas time, would sell double disc Whackhead prank calls. My bro, you were right up there with Steve Hofmeyer. We couldn't sell enough of those things.
Yeah.
People would get angry Christmas Eve closing because they're like, what are we going to get? Then I just go, there's a prank calls. Everyone loves that. Bang. We would sell the hell out of those things.
Yeah.
When did that, like, who went, okay, no, we must put this all compiler on a CD and sell, because you must have sold a ton of those LPs, those CDs.
we sold about 700,000.
Dude.
We always...
That is platinum, isn't it, in South Africa?
Yeah. Across the range, every album went platinum.
Yeah, how many did you do?
I did 12 albums.
Dude, it was hot, and you used to just release them like just in time for Christmas.
Time for Christmas, exactly. And it was like the best of the year, you know.
Yeah.
But that album always used to go number 1 on all the charts. And I remember I would laugh with the guys like Paula Tones and Kurt Darren, and we'd always have a joke, and I'd go, I'm not even doing music, but I'm beating you.
I'm number 1, Alfred.
And then the Now album of the year would eventually go number 1 throughout Christmas. But I would always have about 2-3 weeks at number 1, which was great.
It's wild how that thing, you became synonymous with that. Like, because I go, there's no one else that does it. Everyone knows what you're about. Those things were so popular. Also, like, and I listen to them and I go, it sounds like a lot of work.
It is.
It sounds like a lot of work, and I feel like you get a lot of duds, and you have to have nerves of steel, man.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm so awkward listening to them, I go, nah, this is rough. But my thing was and you've done it to some famous people. That Will Smith one.
Yeah.
Where I go like, dude,
that was
how do you
face
sit
to face.
there? He was
face to face. Yeah.
He's there. He's doing iRobot. You there. Dude, I remember that one distinctly.
But you know what was so crazy about that? So Jeremy's wife,
Yes.
Jackie Mansfield, she worked for People magazine.
Okay.
So she got the interview with Will Smith for People magazine.
Okay.
And then I said to Jem, you know what? Because Will was not doing any radio. It was one of those junket type things.
Yeah.
So I said, Jim, let me go and record your wife interviewing Will Smith, and then we can play that on the radio in the next morning.
Yes, yes.
So he's like, great idea.
Yeah.
So then we're standing there as a junket, it's every newspaper going in one
Everyone
after
gets
the
his
other.
turn, 5 minutes.
Yeah.
In art.
That was at Monte Casino.
Okay.
And so I said to Jackie, Jackie, you know what? I don't want this to be like a boring interview. What inspired you?
Yeah.
What's it like to be acting in Our Robot? I said, that's not going to work for us. So I said, let me just fuck around a bit.
Yeah.
She says, what are you going to do? I said, I don't know, but let me just see how it comes.
Let me go in on your behalf.
No. I'll go there because I'm there to record her.
Yeah.
But then I'm going to...
Start asking questions.
Yeah.
Like I'm interviewing.
Yeah. So eventually I go and I just take over and I start doing all that stuff with the phone. But I'm telling you...
He was a good sport, eh?
He was very good. But I've never been more nervous.
Dude, I can imagine. Because, I mean, those guys they walk with serious bounces.
Yeah.
And they just sniggle at you. You act.
Yeah. No, they don't tolerate any nonsense.
People you know what? There was one, I remember, do you remember me texting you going, dude, you need to get on TikTok. Someone is taking your name.
Yeah.
Because they still do, I think. They just take your intellectual property. They take your prank call that you work really hard to do. And they put it on this, and they would voice over it over some random thing.
Playing Minecraft or something.
Peeling an apple. Then this thing would get millions of listens.
Yeah.
Like viral, like ridiculous. Then then you told me that, dude, we can't even, it's so many, they're popping up every week.
They're all over. So, but this is I don't really dabble in that space, the social media, and I know I should.
Yeah.
But these folks have cracked the algorithm. Because I will go and load that prank because they were like, no, you've got to have your own site and we're going to do it.
Yeah.
We will get 100,000 views on that.
Yeah.
And this guy who's lifted it, and he's put himself driving somewhere in the world down the road.
Yes.
And he gets 200 million views of that. And I go, I can't compete. And you know what? The reality is, TikTok, you get no money for that.
No, you get no money.
So it's like...
Zero money.
It's like...
Also,
there's no money, so
it bothers you if you haven't made it in the world, and you got a very successful radio station. You got a great career already. But if you back in Capital Radio and that's happening, that chews at you, bro.
Oh yeah.
Then
you're stealing my thunder. You know?
Yeah, 100%. But it's true what you say, man. Sometimes you just people. Sometimes originally my stuff got put on the internet by other people as well. Then I would on TikTok specifically. Then I'd also no. Then I started aggressively pursuing that.
Yeah.
But I always I find it fascinating that you how much work you put in. I know you're putting in a lot of work, and I don't think people know how much work it has to be, because there's stuff. How many of those things don't you play?
Yeah, in the beginning there was a lot of it was hit and miss, but as with anything, it's like now when you write a joke, you can tell 80% if it's going to work or not.
Yeah.
So my hit rate now with them is very good.
Yeah.
I
mean, you've done 100,000, bro. How many of those things? 10,000 of them easily.
Yeah, but I mean, I can look at it. I can go, no, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to bother. But that's going to work. And then I do that.
Okay, cool. Tell me, with radio now being such a YouTube thing, so many big radio stations are now got you. I see your clips with the team all the time. I actually consume you, I think, even more on that KFM channel.
Yeah.
How's that shifted things for you? Because you were very recognizable in Johannesburg already, as a face.
Yeah.
People would know who Whackhead was.
Yeah.
But now with this has it changed things in your your private life at all?
No, it's always been a bit of chaos because in Joburg, because I did the TV shows, we did the Laugh Out Loud shows. And
yes.
That's when,
That's also you and Jeremy.
You. Yeah.
Jeremy was in that too. Yeah. Forgot about that. That was a big show. Yeah.
Yeah. And the funny thing about that show, I'll tell you how that show came about. So there was a guy, the commissioning editor of Mnet at the time was a guy named Cole Fisher. And he phoned me the one day.
Mm.
He said, can you come see me at Mnet? I'm like, sure. Wow, this is like 3 years. This is about 2005, 2006. And I sit down there in his office, and he's the big chief of Mnet commissioning editor. He says, you know the stuff you do on the radio?
Yeah.
The pranks?
Yeah.
He says, I want to make it a TV show.
Okay.
So I'm like, awesome.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
So then he said, we just need to find a producer.
Yeah.
And that was Bobby Heaney. I don't know
Okay.
if you know the name Bobby Heaney.
But didn't you mention him earlier? No, I don't know.
No, I haven't mentioned Bobby Heaney.
Okay.
So then he says, okay, we need to find somebody to produce it. So he said, okay, Bobby Heaney's his guy. So he gets Bobby Heaney in. Bobby Heaney says, okay, so the show, we're going to do the pranks, and then there needs to be a host of the show. And he said, but you can't be the host. You don't have any credibility or experience. So I'm like, yeah, you're right. I've never done TV before. So he said, Jeremy's the host.
Okay.
So I'm like, sweet, let's go. Let's go. I needed a
pull in.
I needed a blankie, you know what I'm saying?
Defend you.
I needed my blankie.
Yeah.
So it's like, awesome, here we go. The gruesome twosome again, you know?
Yeah.
And so then that was that. So that's how I became recognized there.
Yeah.
But then, you know, now with all the YouTube stuff,
Yeah.
I mean, I get people coming up to me saying, not I listen to you on the radio, I watch you on YouTube,
Yes.
you know, which is an interesting shift.
Yeah.
But a lot of the time they end up going to the radio because of the YouTube.
Yes, I mean, it's a circle.
So that they work very, you know what I've always said? I said, you know, because radio, they've always say, you know, radio is always under threat. Radio is part of what you call legacy media, you know?
Yeah.
It's been there and people think, yeah, okay, maybe it's on its way out. It's absolutely not.
Yeah.
Radio has never been more popular. And that, because, you know, this is how it worked. It's like us, you know, why are 45-year-olds so grumpy? Well, it's because we bought a record collection and then we had to throw that away, buy a CD collection, throw that away, buy an iPod, and pay for songs again.
Yeah.
And then we had to throw that away and now get a subscription to Spotify. Can you understand why we're so frustrated? We've had to buy a music collection 4 or 5 times.
Yeah. Over. Yeah.
So now the same thing applies with radio. When they said with like radio, right in the beginning, when TV came about, that's the death of radio. And there was even a song, Video Killed the Radio Star.
Yeah.
And that was about that.
Yeah.
Never happened.
Yeah.
TV's dead. And then...
TV struggling. Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, terrestrial TV is gone. So then they were like, okay, the next threat to radio now was going to be the CD player in the car.
Yeah.
Because now people, I'm going to listen to what you say I'm going to listen to. I'm going to listen to what I want to do. The CD's gone. Radio's still living. From the CDs, every just item you can go to the iPod, to Spotify, and all this, to now podcasting. To podcasting, think, okay, now this is the death of radio. No, it's not. No, what I say to people, I say, listen, it's no different. Joe Rogan, you not doing this.
Yeah.
It's the same concept. It's just consumed on a different platform. And if it is good, people will come find it.
Yes. And also, man, there's a familiarity we have with the radio. It's also like, I prefer listening to the radio. I never put the streaming thing on in the morning on the way to school because I know, like, you know, in my houses, when I was living alone, my wife asked me, why did you buy a little ever-ready radio? It's like, it's for the kitchen.
Yeah.
It's got to be on all the time.
Because
I consume so much of the news. And it's like, for me as a stand-up, I get so much from radio because every time I'm in the car, my radio is on and I get a feel for what's actually happening in the country. Because you can get so detached listening to a streaming service of music. And even if it's your favorite music, it becomes a little monotonous and boring. You know, what does Whackhead have to say about this thing? What is this? So radio has really stood the test of time, even myself, I have to say, I'm one of those guys that thought, hey man, radio is going to struggle with But no, it's
You know,
not. It's not.
we have had over all these steps.
Yeah.
We have had behind closed doors crisis meetings in radio stations
Yeah.
about what are we doing. The next threat is here.
Yeah.
You know, the wolf is at the gate.
Yes.
Ah, shit, the wolf is in the house now.
Yeah.
What do we do?
Yeah.
It's an existential crisis that we always assumed we were facing. So radio globally
Yeah.
has always been very proactive
Yeah.
in combating all the threats around
That's
it.
coming.
You know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah. It's working.
again, if the content is good, people will
keep
come.
coming back.
People will come.
You know, like you're famous for radio. You've done a lot of stand-up. You've opened for some mess. You're friends with you dropped Jim Jeffries' name. For those of you that don't know, Jim Jeffries is one of the biggest one of the biggest stand-ups in the world, right? You've opened for Jim Jeffries. You've opened for all these guys. Jimmy Carr. You become friends with these folks. Your stand-up career is like it was. I see you coming in, then doing a lot, and then disappearing.
Yeah.
And then coming back, and then
I'm seasonal.
You're very seasonal. do you like? Is it a thing that you do consciously? Is it like I'm a little bored? Let me go do some stand up again. Is that like how's your relationship with stand up now?
It's a bit like that. Like with you, you're a professional.
I'm a stand up man.
stand-up.
Yeah.
You know, for me, it's always been like it's my side hustle weekend job.
Yeah.
You know,
But when you announce, thousands of people come. It's just like, oh, that person's comics off, eh? It's nothing that we go like, that's brother. It's been 4 years. Did you see? Grand West. We hate that. Like it's also like you one of those oaks where if people heard that they're doing stand up and Whackhead was gonna do a comedy thing at some big venue, people move dates. I know you must know that because we go.
I don't actually know.
No, because your reach is beyond just the stand-up audience. The pranks, the credibility, the years on radio. Man, it's up. When you say I'm doing a venue, immediately you've got access to millions of people that are completely bought into what you do.
But still, whenever I open a show, I think not one person's going to buy a ticket.
But that's healthy and it's good.
I always think,
It keeps you on the
what
edge.
am I going to do? Like, no one's going to buy a ticket.
You one of the rare. Listen, there's other guys and bless their hearts on radio that do stand-up or tried over the years. Stand-ups don't do well at radio, eh?
Yeah.
People think that stand-up comics are going to be a great shock jock, and it doesn't seem to work. And it's because it's a night and day business.
Yeah.
You at that radio station at 5 o'clock in the morning at the latest.
Yeah.
You stand-up lives at night. You know how those gigs go. It's 11 o'clock. You're not on yet. They want you to headline. You can't open. Are you? What? No, it ends the show early.
Yeah.
So then waking up, that's why it just doesn't sort of, the lifestyle doesn't work.
Yeah. No, but I mean, I only go to bed on a normal night at 12, 1.
And you're still up. It's just like part of your routine.
Yeah. Those are the quiet hours. You know, when you got your
People are
wife, you
sleeping.
got your kids, there's a lot of noise, there's a lot of distraction.
Yeah.
It's those quiet hours when I really get to work.
It's the same, yeah. That's 100% the thing. So your relationship with stand-up now is just,
I
you
love
do
it
it when you want to?
You know,
When last have you done a gig?
no, I did a gig in Durban last week.
Okay, great.
And the week before I did one in Stellenbosch.
Oh, fantastic. Was it like a corporate event?
Corporate stuff, yeah. The public stuff, I mean, as you know, if you aren't doing your own theatre shows, like you sell out 1,000 nights, as Alfred Adriaan does, there's no work.
Now you create that work and it's a lot of graph.
And the industry is dead, the comedy industry.
Unfortunately, I hate to agree, but I don't want to say completely dead, but certainly from when the Whackhead Club, the Whackhead, the Goliath, Joe Parker, all of those things existed at the same time. Like I would be able to, in my early days, in fact, make a decent amount of money just running from club gig to club gig.
Monday you had a gig, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, all club gigs, yeah.
Saturday, Sunday, my friend.
Yeah.
We then go in a corporate here and there because a guy saw you at the club.
Yeah,
That's why I always used to play. I loved playing your club because you pulled in a corporate audience. And then I would go like, Whitey would call, hey, boet, is free? Ek gaan DJ. Ja, we host, yes, Whackhead. I say, if it's Whackhead hosting, ek is daar. Because I go, then how I used to make my money, I used to go, October.
Yeah.
I do all those things. I call him. I go, listen, I'll do some open spots for you.
Because I loved it. You were always there.
Always there. And it's a drive, eh? I used to live in 4 ways.
Yeah.
Then I'd go, because I love doing it, but I would also make good money off it because I know they came to see you. Those are corporate. Because there's a LSM you want to get into. Joe Parker's club was like that. You'd get in front of them. Those people are making decisions as to who's going to MC the golf day, the end of year function.
Yeah.
Then I would get a lot of work in November, December out of those free gigs I do. And the comics never picked up on that.
But you see, you're smart, brother. You're smart.
I'd go like, oh, nee, gaan. People would go, wait, man, it's too far. I'm like, hey, gaan nou, pal. Because that's how it used to.
Yeah. No, but you see, and that's what I love. I love the desire, the hustle, the work ethic. And with all of those attributes, you back it up by being hysterically funny.
Yeah, thanks.
across all markets.
Thanks. Yeah, no.
You haven't pigeoned yourself, you haven't locked yourself in a certain demographic. Across all markets.
Thanks, man. Thanks, Darren. Like, we've tried to, me and you've done gigs together. We would do pubs, we would do this. I learned very early on because of my corporate days is that you can entertain everyone if you don't speak about their religion, their politics, and swear and sex. Yeah. If you can stay at funny and stay out of those things, there you get a lot of traction going. Yeah, because then your audience people go, yeah, I got a white audience, I got a black audience. You come with me to Centurion, you'll see 4 colored people and aunties Afrikaners. Yeah. It's because it's not that they don't support they don't support it on color lines as much as people really think. They are more about, is it clean? People that are paying for tickets are 35 and older. Yeah. More conservative. South Africans are conservative. I don't think people realize how conservative.
I mean, South Africans are. But to a point, like I believe that the facade is conservative. But when you scratch the surface and you get through, there's a very naughty, playful underbelly there.
Great people to perform.
And if it's if they feel safe, that's why. I mean, you look at the psychology of how comedy rooms, because I've always understood things mostly from a psychological point of view. That's how I've reverse engineered everything about understanding a market. As an audience, you need to understand what makes them tick.
Yes.
All right. So I spend a lot of time and energy on. It's like, I mean, the foundation of it was when I went to the UK and I was like, I'm not going straight on the radio. I want to understand the market first, work in the pub. Yeah. Which is one of the greatest jobs I've ever had. Yeah. So understanding what makes people tick. Humans. You're unlocking some secret codes there.
You're so right about South Africans. Like I literally write the shows that way. I'll start with the me and my wife stuff up front. I will start with the family stuff, me and my dad, and then I'll work them in. And it's like boiling a frog slowly. By the end, we're saying some things that you'd never have laughed at immediately. Yeah, no. But now you're in it now. You're laughing, everyone's
you're
laughing.
You're talking about how you made your son. You know what I'm saying?
It's going rough
in
now.
In the most graphic detail.
I'm just going, he's fantastic. He must come to the church.
He's so naughty, you know?
Yes, they like that.
But that's what it is. It's about building the trust with the audience.
You build the trust.
And you build the trust, you can take them anywhere with you.
Yeah, 100%. Right. So people don't know this about you, but you love a snooker game, eh?
I do.
How much do you play?
Well, I don't play as much anymore, but that was my original dream.
Snooker.
From a kid. You know, every kid, whatever sport your son plays, when your kid's at school, they're going to want to be a professional in that. Yes. You know? And I wanted to be a professional snooker player.
Did you start when you were a kid already?
Yeah, we had a little table in the house, you know.
And you still play quite a lot. You play league, don't you play league?
I used to. I mean, I haven't played for the last year, but
Okay.
I used to play snooker full size, and then I was playing at Goodwood,
Good.
and then we won the league there, and then, but all in all, there were points when I moved to pool because
Yeah.
snooker wasn't fashionable. But my dream was to go to the UK and be a professional.
And play.
Yeah. And let me tell you a funny story. So the guy that I idolized, we never had in my folks' house when I grew up, we never had Mnet when it first came out.
Yeah.
And they used to have snooker on TV late at night, 10 o'clock, the Benson and Hedges
Oh.
Masters.
When cigarette companies were still allowed to
They were
advertise.
there, man.
Yeah.
And so now my uncle had Mnet. So I'd ask him to record on video for me. And then
Yeah.
I'd get the tape a few days later.
Yeah.
And I would sit there, I promise you, I was this big.
The tot. Yeah.
10.
Yeah.
And I'd sit there, watch this, and I'd watch Stephen Hendry playing snooker.
Yeah, that's a legend.
Oh, you know, and
Yeah.
I'd study, self-taught,
Yeah.
you know. And then fast forward, that dream was shattered when I just wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
You know, I was never going to make it to that level. Never, ever, ever. And then, so when that was shattered, I still loved playing, but now more on a social level.
Yeah.
And 6 years ago,
Yeah.
I get this call out of the blue because I'm still involved in the pool and the snooker community, you know. My mate Ishan, who heads up the South African 8-Ball Association, he says, man, I need you to help me out. Yeah. So I'm like, yeah, sure. He says, these Chinese pool tables are coming into South Africa. They're launching these things. It's kind of like a variation of the 8-ball game. But they want to promote their pool tables. And the ambassador is Stephen Hendry. So we're bringing Stephen Hendry here.
Wow.
And they're like, nobody is interested about Stephen Hendry.
Wow.
And they're like, can you interview Stephen Hendry and
What
publicize
a
this thing?
thing. Childhood moment, full circle.
Brother, I'll tell you, I have named the pop star, named the Hollywood star.
Yeah.
I've interviewed them all.
Yeah.
And I enjoy interviewing them. I don't ever, in the beginning, I did get caught up in the moment a bit and was nervous. But after doing it all, and you realize they're just another human being wanting to have a good time. You relax and you do your thing with them.
Yeah.
And I was like, Stephen Hendry, this is my childhood hero.
Yeah.
When Stephen Hendry rocked up at the studio,
Yeah.
I froze. I was like a 12-year-old with Justin Bieber 10 years ago.
Yeah. I can imagine. It takes you back to your parents' house, man.
Yeah, man, it absolutely does. And when he came on the show, and I was like, Mr. Hendry, you know?
Yeah.
And then when I actually was like, okay, song is ending. We're starting now, Stephen Hendry.
Yeah.
I literally, you can hear in the beginning, in the beginning of the interview, I stalled the car. I was like, Stephen, everything of my childhood
Came back, eh?
engulfed me in that second.
Dude,
It was such a memorable moment.
that's a big thing, dude. That's
And now we chat once a week on WhatsApp.
really, that's lovely.
Mad.
How many of these celebrities have you become very friendly with? Because you've got, like you say, you've gotten to know a lot of them. Like the thing about like Will Smith, like, I mean, that's just one thing. But like I heard you say a clip where you couldn't believe a couple of years ago, you couldn't believe it was the same guy that slapped Chris Rock. Then I go like, this guy's got such a wealth of people he's met and known. How many of them have you stayed friendly with or friends with like that?
Not a lot. I mean, a lot of the time, you know, when you're interviewing these celebs, you can see the ones that know they're just here because they have to. You know?
Yeah. Go through the motions.
It's part of the tour.
Yeah.
They got a movie to sell, a book to sell, a CD to sell, whatever. So we know it's all part of the business.
About the business.
But there are ones that I have stayed friends with, like the international psychic, John Edward.
Yes, no John Edward, yeah.
We very, very good friends.
Really? Where does he live? States?
He lives in New York, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he lives in New York. And I love that man so much, not because of what he does,
Yeah.
because he's one of the greatest human beings I've ever
Really?
met. And yeah, he helped me dealing with my brother's loss.
Really?
Yeah. So what happened was when my brother was murdered, one of my mother's, because obviously everyone in the family didn't, was struggling. They gave my mother John Edward's books. Remember, John Edward had
Yes.
He had the TV show
Yes.
Crossing Over with John Edward, and my mom finished reading it, and I picked it up and I read it, and if I tell you the comfort that gave me to deal with this process,
Yeah.
was it just made me think like it's not the end. And the way that I processed it was, he's just gone on a holiday,
Okay.
and I'll see him on that holiday when I get there, So it gave me so much comfort. So when I actually met the man, I felt that instant connection.
Okay.
And I told him what he did for me and what it meant to me. And there were a lot of things that happened subsequent to that. So we've always been in touch, and we're great friends.
That's interesting. I wouldn't have put that name. Like you think you know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
You look, I'm very low key. I don't like.
yeah, you're very much
hanging
a
out with
regular.
the rich and famous. I don't really like that, and my wife doesn't like that either.
You've always been like that. You've always been like very much a regular oak. We used to do gigs at these bars. Dive, boy. Then I go like, there's never is. You know what I mean?
No.
People are so comfortable with you that they forget to take the picture. I see that a lot.
Yeah.
Like they forget. You can see they come over and they want to, and then you chat and they become like, you disarm. And then I think it's also, when you explain your past and your childhood and stuff, it makes it easy for you to relate to everyday oaks.
Yeah, it's man. And the thing is, where I see a lot of guys, they buy into that stuff.
Yeah. So drinking the syrup.
Subscribe to that stuff, man, and it's always their downfall.
It's not a healthy place, eh?
No,
It's not a healthy place because sometimes it just goes away. It can't define who you are.
No.
Yeah.
No. So I'm just trying to think who else.
Yeah.
No.
But you said earlier you were part of the Trevor Noah thing. That was a wild ascension, and you were right there watching it. Like people don't get like how what an anomaly Trevor is until they have to. Like I only properly understood it when I went to a comedy festival in Canada, JFL, when I started seeing his name on buses in other countries. Then I realized, he needs security here. And I don't think South Africans at that time had understood. He's a phenomenon everywhere.
Yeah.
Jerry Seinfeld will tell you that dude's a phenomenon.
Yeah.
And to watch that thing go from dreadlocks in a dive spot in Joburg to that, it's such a wild thing.
It's amazing. And I mean, while some can be envious, it's the envious ones that aren't happy with where they're at. But people that are genuinely happy for him, I think it's great. I mean, he's done incredible things.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. I also go like, sometimes people ask me, it's always the thing, like, you're going to be the next Trevor Noah. I go, I don't know. Fantastic, but I don't know if a married man of two needs that kind of fame. It's a lot, man.
Yeah.
It's a lot. People like you are you popular. People don't understand. Like it's wonderful. It's a wonderful gift that people love you.
Yeah.
But it is a lot. It's like it's a weird thing.
It's because I've always, as I say, I've never really subscribed to that life. You're not going to see me ever at the parties.
Yeah.
You're not going to see me doing all that stuff. I really have no time. I'm actually, from here, I want to go
To my house.
to the house, see my wife. My kids are coming home from school. I want to chill a bit. We're going to cook dinner together later.
Yeah.
I'm going to chat to my kids. That's what I truly enjoy. You know,
Yes.
that all this other nonsense, it's not real.
It's not real. It's also like, yeah, it's a distraction.
Yeah.
My question, I'm going to have to let you go, but my question to you is like, what is the worst trouble you've gotten into on radio? And is it and the worst trouble you've gotten into because of the pranks? Has there ever been one where a guy is coming to the radio station and wants to clap you?
No, there's only one prank that ended badly.
What was it? You don't have to say it if you don't.
No, I'll say it. So, Eugene Terblanche
Yes.
comes out of jail.
Yes.
And so sometimes at Harvard we had the two studios. You know, we had a backup studio and the main studio. So I would be doing the pranks in the backup studio.
Yeah.
And Eugene Terblanche had come out and I thought, well, it's topical.
Yeah.
Let me phone him.
Ooh.
So in the afternoon, I was trying to get hold of him, and he was it was Ventersdorp.
Yes.
I
He's
got
from
given his number,
Ventersdorp.
yeah. I got given his number, but it was a landline number.
Yeah.
And they said, so I phoned this number, and a lady answered the phone. And I said, hello, can I speak to Terblanche, please? She said, no, he's not here. He goes in the morning at 7, and he comes back at 6 at night.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay. So I then thought, okay, so I'll catch him in the morning. So at about 6:20 the next morning, the show's going on, and I phone.
You're not doing this live, obviously.
No. This is pre-recorded. So I phone this number, and they say, okay, yeah, he comes on the phone.
Yeah.
And I made a joke about the horses. Remember, he fell off the horse?
Yes.
I made a joke about that. And then he put the phone down. And then that was it. But now, whenever I phone, I'm hiding the number.
Yes.
So you seeing an unknown number.
Yes.
The phone rang back. I'll tell you now, I've never forgotten these words as long as I live. He said, I picked up the phone, I was like, hello? He says, ek weet wie jy is.
Oof.
Ek weet waar jy bly. Ek kom haal vir jou.
Yeah, and that man was scary. Eh?
And he put the phone down. And I'm like, oh my God, now what?
And he was a scary man, dude.
Yeah.
I was intimidated by that, dude.
So I ran into the studio to my savior, Jeremy.
Yeah.
You know, I said, hey, Jem. This is what I said. I said, hey, Jem, I just pranked Eugene Terblanche. He said, why the fuck did you do that? So I'm like,
Yo.
you know, I'm young and naive, you know.
Yes.
What did I do? He says, oh, whoa. He said, what happened? I said, no, he phoned back and he said that to me. He said, oh, whoa. Now the whole station's scrambling.
Yeah, because he's not kidding.
No,
Your gender Blanche was about that life.
Yeah. So there were a few
so
phone
the
calls, apologies, and he was actually cool in the end.
Yes.
He was actually quite cool, because I said to him afterwards, because I didn't play the prank now.
Yeah.
Because days went by and we had people phone him and settle everything down and stuff. And then I phoned him and I apologized and I said, sorry, I didn't.
Yeah.
And he said, no, it's fine. And then I said, can I play it?
Yeah.
He said, yeah, play it.
Oh, you had a good sense of humor then.
Yeah, so I was like, okay.
I think the man was also like, you know, whatever thoughts you may have about him politically, the man also just came out of jail. You know, sometimes it's a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's always
It's a
looking
lot.
for content,
And he was a
you know?
serious, okay.
Because like Shabir Sheikh, I phoned him just before when he was on the trial and it was days before sentencing.
Yeah.
So I phoned him and I kind of anticipated that he was going to be found guilty. So I phoned him. I said, hello, Mr. Sheikh. I'm phoning from I said, I just want to, he didn't ask who it was. I said, oh, Mr. Sheikh, I just want to find out, what's your shirt size? So he says, no, I'm a medium. Pen size? No, I'm a 30. What's your favorite toothpaste?
Yeah.
So I'm waiting for him to pick up on the fact that I'm actually, from the prison, I'm getting the stuff that we need for you.
Yeah.
And then, so then when he picked up the beat of where I was going, he says, are you phoning from the jail? So I said, yeah, no, I'm just getting your room ready, you know? And then, no, exactly, you know, I've mellowed a lot since then.
Yes. Dude, you were playing, playing a dangerous play, Polly.
Proper playing with fire, you know? And then I eventually said to him, I said, nah, you know, because he was like saying, so that they've found me guilty. So I'm like, oh, no. Now I'm like, now I'm going, I'll tell you one more story.
Yeah.
So now I'm going, now I've gone a bit too far. So I'm like, no, I'm just joking. It's Whackhead, you know.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, Whackhead, eh? Yeah, I said, oh, no, I'm just joking.
Yeah.
He actually had a laugh.
Apparently, he's very chilled.
Yeah, he's very chill.
Yeah.
And I know his nephew now as well.
Both of us know him.
Simi.
Yes,
Yeah.
this is nephew. It's another friend of ours, a comedian.
Yeah. And he was very chilled about it. But the one time when I nearly caused an international incident. So I'm sitting there. It's half-felt. It's 2:00 in the afternoon. I'm going, shut up, man. I want to get home. I haven't got a prank, man. What must I do now? So I'm thinking. So now, you know, Jeremy was very good friends with Zelda, who was Mandela's PA.
Yes.
And
nice lady, I met her.
Lovely lady. Yeah. And she was always at our functions. And she loved the prank calls and all this stuff. So I was sitting there thinking about her, and I thought, okay, let me do a prank here. So I phoned. Tony Blair was president.
Okay.
Was Prime Minister of England. So I thought, what are the chances? So I phoned 10 Downing Street.
Yeah.
I'm like, hello.
You call 10 Downing Street?
10 Downing Street. Okay. There's a number. You can phone it. I phoned 10 Downing Street and I say, no one actually knows the story. It's never been to air. So I phoned 10 Downing Street and I say, I need to set up a call between Mr. Mandela and Tony Blair. So they said, well, who are you? I said, I am Mr. Mandela's new PA.
Yeah.
Straight up, they're like, you hear a few papers ruffle, they say, what happened to Zelda?
Yeah.
So I said, no, Zelda doesn't work here anymore. And I gave a whole story of where she is now.
Yes.
That was part of the funny side of things. I said, no, Zelda doesn't work anymore. I'm the new PA, so I'm the contact person for Nelson Mandela. So they said, okay. Listen, just hold on. Because I forget what was happening in the UK at the time. There was something, and Mandela just wanted to speak to him. And I thought, okay, so if I get through to Tony Blair, then what?
Dude.
What am I going to do now?
It's a Prime Minister.
Yeah. So they said, he's just coming out of Parliament. We're going to connect you to his car. So they put me through to his car and Tony Blair answers the phone.
What?
And I start, now, you know, Jeremy could do a Mandela accent and there were guys that could do. I can't. So I'm like, hello, Mr. Blair.
Dude.
And then I chickened out. I was like, no, I'm way too deep.
This is too far.
This is international now. So then I put the phone down.
Did he answer? Did he say hello?
He said hello, yeah.
Dude.
And then I deleted everything and I did nothing.
Oh, so you never...
Yeah, because I thought, wait a minute, dude, you need to think before you do things now. Like I said, young and naive, you know.
Yeah.
I said, you got to think because, I mean, what are the repercussions of something like this?
Absolutely.
You know? Like Nelson Mandela is meeting global leaders every day.
Yes.
So then, bro, it's about a year later. I'm on the golf course playing golf. I see my phone rings. And it's a UK number. So I'm like, hello? So they say, hello, is that Darren? So I said, yes. Mr. Blair would like to make contact with Mr. Mandela. Can you please set it up? I'm like, oh, I think it's me.
They think they now don't know about Zelda at all.
So I said, okay, look, I don't work for Mr. Mandela anymore, but Zelda is working for Mr. Mandela again. Luckily, I had her number on my phone. Wow. So I said, please, as a matter of urgency, can you call Zelda to sort out whatever you want to do with Mr. Blair?
Dude, how crazy is that? No one would even think you could just call.
It was too easy. It was too easy.
It was also the 90s.
Yeah.
Like it was a different time.
It was. And I told Zelda that story.
That's wild.
Yeah.
What a wild story.
But that was on the edge, man.
Listen, bro. Thanks for coming out, man. It's just good to speak to you again.
Alfred, man, this is great, bro. And I wish you all the best of luck. I mean,
Thanks,
you don't
man.
need the luck on the stage because you're a king.
Thank
Out
you.
of TikTok, your star just went out of COVID. Your star, everybody was watching.
Thanks. It was just remember you were there. I have a clip where you joke with me in the early vlogs where I go, Darren, I turned the camera. We were in the pub there in Joburg. We were doing that pub gig. Me, you, Skulky.
Skulk was in there, yeah.
Yes, we and I was just starting, and it was nowhere. I don't know what I was doing, and you were still going. He's like, "You're gonna be an influencer now. You're gonna still have that footage. It's on my YouTube somewhere. How many people are watching? 300. I said it's 300. He's like, ooh. But yeah, you've been good, man. It's been so much fun, and we live around the corner from each other now.
Yeah, man. And Cape Town, eh?
Cape Town's been great.
Yeah.
Cape Town's been great. Cape Town's been you as well. I mean, you've been here for 10 years.
This is my 9th year. Yeah, Cape Town's been fantastic.
Yeah.
I love this place. It's
lovely.
Time. Yeah,
it's lovely. I'm still getting used to it. My family is. I'm actually going right after this. We're pressing stop now. I'm taking my kids to the beach. What a life! What a life!
And you see, you moved where everybody told me to move when I was coming to Cape Town.
Is it?
Everybody's like, bro, you got to go to southern suburbs. Southern suburbs.
Yeah.
And I came here and I was like, yo, southern suburbs, like expensive here.
Everywhere's like expensive.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
And I was like, no. You know, coming from living in a landlocked environment that was Joburg and the dust.
North.
I was like, I want to see that view every day.
Yeah. Did you in Durban?
I'm in Blouberg Strand.
Oh, Blouberg. That's a beautiful view.
Yeah. So that's how we landed up there.
Ah, okay, lekker.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, thanks for having me. And thanks. Also, like, it's not easy to get. You can subscribe.
Because he's an influencer now.
I'm an influencer now. I'm to lay them over each other. The other thing is that, like, I realized that when I was looking, like, for interviews with you, you don't do these.
I don't.
You ask questions. You never.
Yeah.
I think this is the most you've said on it.
No. I don't do podcasts. There's a lot of requests for podcasts, but because it's funny, I saw your podcast before your podcast with Emo.
Yeah. Yes. Before I called you, text you. Yeah.
And I'd seen it, and I was like, Alfred's got a.
Yeah.
And then you're like. And then you message. And I'm like, that's what I want to do.
You know what's so lekker about this thing is that I can call friends and they come over and we chat. And what I like is for people, the audience, also my audience, to connect the dots that, it's so many other people that have given me shots. Yeah. And I don't think you would connect Darren and me. And I like that.
Yeah.
And then when we have the chats, the intimate moments that can only come from a real relationship. I love these kinds of things.
Because, there's so many... I mean, there's so many podcasts.
So many.
Every oak's got an energy drink and a podcast.
So when Gacy says they must make podcast equipment more expensive. Yeah.
So good luck with the energy drink coming.
It's coming. More fire too. Anyway,
but all the best with this, man. I think you're going to do very, very well because
thanks, man.
Not only are you a natural stand-up, I think you're a natural in this space as well.
Thank you, dude. Thanks so much.
I got mad love for you.
And let's do stuff together.
And I don't have lots of mad love for everybody. But but seriously, there's guys that I respect so much in this industry.
Yeah.
And you're one of them, brother.
Thank you, man. That's a big compliment from you.
You've
That's
done
a big thing.
fantastically.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And I appreciate all those spots you gave me.